Hi, Andy XL back with another NFXL podcast looking at the 2026 NFL draft. Just 6 days till draft day now. And my daily piece today is looking at some candidates that are on the rise late in the pre-draft process. So are pushing up their way to improve their draft prospects. Like I say, less than a week to go now until the 2026 NFL draft begins. And I've looked back at my last positional rankings updated towards the end of March and compared it to my current rankings. In doing so, I've identified 15 draft candidates who have risen up their positional rankings, which puts them in position to go earlier in the draft than they would have been expected to just 3 weeks ago. I'll go through them in order of how they appear on my overall big board right now. Incidentally, I will put out my top 75 prior to the draft starting on the day of the opening day of the draft in 6 days. On day two, I'll put out the top 150 remaining players on my list. And on day three, the remainder of my top 250. In recent years, my big board has been more accurate than anybody else, including the NFL.com guys, Daniel Jeremiah, Lance Zierlein, Chad Reuter, etc., all the ESPN crew, any other network you want to name, and pretty much any other draft analyst I've come across. I don't say that lightly. I've analysed the data, and mine have been at least as accurate, if not more accurate. So um, that's bigging me up. What these positional rankings, what they're key for is if you've moved up the positional rankings, you're going to improve your draft prospects greatly because the team looking for that position is going to take them in order, basically. So if you've moved up in your position, that's more critical sometimes than the overall big board position. So the first of these 15 that are on the rise is Malachi Lawrence, the edge guy out of Central Florida. Lawrence has now had a long and sustained climb towards round one, and that's continuing as we approach draft time. I currently have him at 49 on my big board, which will put him plumb in the middle of round two. He's climbed 4 spots in the edge rankings to number 9, and may even have a chance of climbing further to get him into contention for a day one pick. But round two looks more and more likely for this small school guy who has recorded 20 sacks in his last 36 games for the Central Florida Knights. Right, the second one is Antonio Williams, wide receiver, Clemson. Williams went into last season as one of the leading wide receiving candidates in this class, but he suffered a down season as the Tigers struggled to a 4-4 record. His TD production may have dipped, but he still recorded over 60 yards a game receiving, and a mixed bag of results at the combine does not seem to have hurt his prospects, as his overall body of work over the last 2 seasons has done enough to give NFL scouts reason to still see him as one of the better wide receivers in this draft class. He has climbed 5 spots up my wide receiver rankings and is now the wide receiver 8 at number 58 overall on my big board. His slide into round three seems to have reversed, and round two now looks like a distinct possibility for Williams. Third one is another wide receiver, DeZorn Stribling out of Ole Miss. 800-yard plus seasons for Oklahoma State and then Ole Miss got the attention of the scouting network, and Stribling is another who has been on a steady rise since the college season finished. He's jumped a huge 11 spots up the wide receiver rankings and is now my wide receiver 13 and number 89 on my overall big board, having been a lowly 171 a month or so back. Excuse me. So he has risen from round 5 to being a potential day 2 pick as a result. Fourth of the 15 is Jalen Farmer, an offensive tackle out of Kentucky. Farmer improved significantly in his second season as a starter for the Wildcats, and that is improvement is seeing him climb up the guard rankings to number 6 in that class and to number 96 overall. Whether he makes it into round 3 towards the end of day 2 may now depend on how high demand is at the guard position, but the chances might be pretty good of that happening, as I can see at least 7 teams who might be looking for a guard early in this draft. So that rise up the potential rankings could pay off big time for Farmer. Fifth of these 15 risers is a cornerback out of Georgia, Dalen Everett. 4 seasons of solid and consistent improvement for one of the top schools gives Everett plenty of experience to make NFL teams think he is ready to go from day one in the NFL. A 4.38.40, second amongst cornerbacks at the combine, will have done nothing to hurt his draft prospects either. Both of the aforementioned performances are seemingly climbed 4 spots up my cornerback rankings from 18 to 14. If he can maintain or improve that cornerback ranking in the next week, then that may be good enough to save him having to wait until day 3 to get picked, as he is now number 8 on my big board, so right in that borderline for round 3, round 4. Sixth of the 15 is a tight end, again out of Georgia, Oscar Delp. Another Bulldog on the rise. Delp missed the combine with a foot injury, but shone at the Georgia Pro Day. That performance marks him as a quality athlete and also dispels concerns over the severity of the injury that caused him to miss the combine. Subsequently, he has rocketed 9 spots up the tight end rankings in what is a pretty shallow class at the top end, to be honest. So it may not be the hardest task to go from mid-ranked to top ranked. But he has gone up 9 spots and is now number 5 in my latest tight end rankings. And he's climbed 56 spots up in the overall rankings as he moves from round 5, possibly to be within reach of getting into day 2, as he's now 110 on my big board. Right, a serious riser at 7 is Tyler Onyedim, a defensive lineman out of Texas A&M. Following 2 reasonable seasons for Iowa State, Onyedim really emerged for the Aggies last term, and one thing he has in his locker, which is highly valued in the mid-rounds, is the ability to play multiple roles on the D-line. His recent rise comes off the back of another strong pro day performance. I have him categorised as a defensive tackle, and he has risen 7 spots to be my current DT 11 and number 125 on my big board. Previously a late rounder at best, that pro day showing and his versatility could well get him into round 4 now. 8th of the 15 is an inside linebacker, Kayshawn Elliott out of Arizona State. Another versatile type in the mid-rounds. Elliott not only offers plenty as a run defender and pass rusher, he may also be a force on special teams as a ferocious tackler. Those qualities may make up for his weaknesses in pass coverage and earn him a 4th-round pick. He's moved up 4 spots in my inside linebacker rankings to be number 11 in that category, in what is an exceptional class at that position. 9th of the 15 is a cornerback out of Oregon, Jaden Kennedy. As a potential nickelback in the NFL, Kennedy is not competing with cornerbacks who will man the outside roles in this class. That speciality skill set means in a class lacking in many candidates of that nature, the chance to climb the positional rankings was there for a nickel candidate to take. And he seems to be the one teams are latching onto, as he has risen 8 spots up my cornerback rankings and over 100 spots up my big board to lie at number 145 a week ahead of the draft. That would make him a borderline round 4 or 5 guy, whereas a month ago he may not even have been getting drafted. At 10 is a defensive tackle, Nick Barrett out of South Carolina, 10th of the 15 risers. Barrett may be a one-trick pony, but when that trick is to pretty much shut down the opponent's running game single-handed, that's going to pay off for him come draft time, as teams looking for a nose tackle type who can shut down the run will love Barrett in the mid-rounds. His type did not normally shine at the combine. Barrett may not have done so, but he did look quicker than many expected and did okay in the jump test too. As a result, Barrett is up 5 spots in the defensive tackle list and over 60 spots on my big board, and could be really good use of a 5th-round pick in this draft. 11th of the 15 is another inside linebacker, Jimmy Rolder out of Michigan, another specialist against the run, this time from the inside linebacker position. And his special team abilities have also got him noticed following fine performances in the cone and shuttle drills at the combine. His deficiencies in the passing game make him too one-dimensional to probably get out of the latter rounds, but that strong showing at the combine could yet get him into round 5. He's up 4 spots in my inside linebacker rankings and 40 spots in my overall rankings. 12th of the 15, as we get towards the latter rounds now, is a guard out of Boston College, Logan Taylor. When we get to the latter stages of the draft, you either need to have one very good speciality or to have plenty of versatility to make NFL teams want to add you as a specialist or depth guy who can cover multiple roles. Taylor is the latter, having played across the line during his college career. He also has leadership skills as a team captain at that level, which make him stand out from others in his class. Up 6 spots in my guard rankings and over 100 spots overall, Taylor now seems to have a good chance of being taken in the second half of day 3. 13th to the 15 is Wesley Williams, an edge rusher out of Duke. Multiple NFL teams have arranged meetings with Williams post the combine. He may not have done much in those tests to impress, but as I said with late rounders, he has a speciality skill set as an interior pass rusher and special team freak who may be a really good fit for an NFL team as we get to the end of the 2026 draft. He's up half a dozen spots in the edge rankings, and having the look of an undrafted free agent, he now looks likely to possibly get picked in round 6, maybe even round 5. And the last two of these 15 are both running backs. Eli Heidenreich out of Navy and Adam Randall out of Clemson. Both I've mentioned before in other pieces. They're both up 4 spots in my running back rankings that have moved first from undrafted free agent material to 7th rounder. And now 6th rounders, maybe 5th rounders. Both had very good combines that started the rise. Heidenreich could be an excellent dual purpose running back, particularly as a receiving back. Randall, ironically, a converted wide receiver with just 1 year as a running back behind him, is a really strong up the middle runner. Hardly what you expect from a converted wide receiver, but certainly not to be underestimated. He just knocks people backwards constantly. Could they be the late? Could Heidenreich and Randall be the late round steals this year in the wake of Kyle Monangai, Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt, Tyrone Tracy, and Chase Brown in the last 3 years? So there's 15 to put in your notebook for the draft on the rise and potentially looking to do quite well now when it comes draft time compared to where they were 3 weeks ago. So tomorrow I'm going to come back. What's my piece tomorrow? Just remind myself. Oh yeah, I'm going to look at what the options are for the teams that hold the first 10 picks in this draft. You know, whether they stay at that position and who they could pick, or whether they should trade up or back. So I'll go through the first 10 teams of that in the first of probably 3 pieces I'll do for that. I'll do the first 10, then the next 10, and then the remaining teams that I haven't covered in the picks, sort of 21 to 32, and those that don't have a first round pick in the third piece. So they'll be coming over the weekend. So look out for them. But that's it for me for now. Hope this is enjoyable and informative, and I'll see you soon.